my kind of issue is somehow we have moved with Brock Purdy to this expectation, and we talk about him like he's Jimmy Garoppolo, where he's been in the NFL for 7 years, been in two different systems, played a lot of ball, and he's making those mistakes. Larry, I don't get it. He passed up a few throws. He didn't make the throw on time, on rhythm. A lot of rookies don't do that.
Right.
A lot of rookies don't do that. Stop
It's like,
telling me NFL
right.
figured him out. This happened.
I
This
know.
happened.
It's a bunch of
He's
bullshit.
a rookie quarterback who, on time, on rhythm, wasn't sure about letting the ball go. Oh my God. We should be more impressed with the lack of hesitation that he played with all of those other times for us to say this rather than just. I don't get that conversation, Larry. I don't even get it from Greg Cosell, who I respect so much and have learned so much from, where he's talking about the guy like he's Jimmy Garoppolo passing up open throws. What are you talking about? Every young quarterback I've seen play in the last 2 years has passed up so many open throws. It's part of the learning experience. So I know that this was a little bit away from what we were talking about, which is, hey, the quarterback injuries, where we kind of are, where you are on betting on talent over anything. Let's find a guy that's capable of starting and stash him in the back of the roster. But I did want to touch on this because you brought up the Cosell thing. But what the narratives with Brock Purdy are getting insane now. If we're going to talk about him like this, he was a rookie 7th-round pick, for Christ's sake.
And I love Greg. I think Greg's a great guy. But let's not forget what Greg is. Greg is watching film and looking at scheme. He's not a personnel evaluator. He might have personnel evaluation thoughts, but if he was an awesome personnel evaluator, he wouldn't be sitting at NFL films. He'd be a personnel evaluator making a lot more money. He'd be somebody's pro personnel director or somebody's college personnel director. So let's not give people too much. I don't want to. That's not a knock on Greg. I'm sure people will run back to Greg Krueger was ripping. No, I'm not. I'm just saying it's a different skill set to be able to tell you why a play worked and to be able to roll tape back and forth in the schematics and understand coverage and then understanding personnel. I'm not saying that Greg doesn't have a great eye for it. I'm just saying, personnel evaluation is totally separate from what he does. So just remember that. And as far as there's errors of commission, and those are fumbles and interception, and then there's errors of omission. Do you know how many times Jimmy Garoppolo didn't see the field, didn't see a wide open guy? We're talking about 8-9 times a game. So are you telling me because Brock Purdy didn't let it go on some, basically it was, I saw the criticism. It really plays more like a compliment to Kyle Shanahan, that Kyle Shanahan had schemed open many throws and that Brock at times didn't pull the trigger and he's not sure exactly why. Well, there's any number of things that he could have been the reason why, but at the end of the day, all we have to go on is the record. And the record was that this rookie quarterback, this Mr. Irrelevant, this 23-year-old kid that everybody scoffed at me when I said he could play in July. This guy played well, and they didn't lose. And he threw 13 touchdowns, and he had 4 picks. And he went up against the Cowboys in the playoffs, and he didn't turn it over. And he went up against the Seahawks in the playoffs, and he didn't turn it over. And in fact, he threw for 330 yards plus and 3 touchdowns. So he has yet to turn it over. Basically, he had a sack in the sack against Philly, but no picks. And, no losses in my mind. He got knocked out, but the guy, for a guy to be a rookie quarterback and a late draft pick, last pick in the draft, and he has 4 turnovers and undefeated in the regular season. He won you 2 playoff games and you're going to critique him. We all should be as good. I would push back and say that none of the people that are critiquing him are as good at what they do as Brock is at what he does. So put that in your.
I don't even think it's that deep, though, Larry. I don't even think it's that deep. I think the criticisms of Purdy are completely valid. I just don't like the lens that they're getting painted in. For example, when we talk about criticisms with other young quarterbacks, right? We do preface it with, well, he was surrounded by this, or he didn't play this, or he's still young and we think he has this potential. And maybe you might not view Brock Purdy's ceiling to be that. And again, I want to repeat this. I very much respect Cosell's opinion.
We
I've
all do.
learned a lot of football from him in particular, to be completely frank. It's just I hate how it gets framed where you're all of a sudden talking about him like, yeah, he's passing up a few throws or he's missed a few throws, like somehow the other quarterbacks on this team didn't do that. Like, I watched Jimmy Garoppolo play for the 49ers the last 3 years. Every game. I've watched every game on film. Oh my God. To the number of times I've ran the play back and said, why didn't he throw the ball? Why didn't he throw the ball? Shanahan schemed him up wide open. Why didn't the guy throw the ball? And in fact, in terms of if we're comparing it, I actually said that less times with Brock Purdy, even though there are times you say that with Brock Purdy too, and you don't always know. And that's where I didn't mean to go off on our good friend here, Mark Pfeiffer, great friend of the show, always supportive, both here and on the Krug show. Excuse me, not the Krug channel, the Krug show, where you can find the Krug channel.
There you go.
But I saw this kind of going around, and I thought it was, one, getting completely blown out of proportion, and two, I thought we were lacking complete context in how we talk about these quarterbacks and what we're saying about these quarterbacks. Like, yes, he passed up open throws. Yes, rookie quarterbacks pass up open throws. I don't know if it's necessarily an indictment. I think even with passing up those open throws, everything we've seen, Larry, indicates that, again, and now we have the big if with the surgery being delayed. But if he walks into camp healthy, Larry, he deserves to be the starting quarterback. Now, whether he continues to earn that job, whether he's healthy enough to keep that job, whether he plays well enough to keep that job, we will find out, Larry. But everything he has done in 2022 tells me that he should start as long as he's healthy, or he should start at the start of the season if he's healthy.
I mean, there's no doubt. I mean, come on. I mean, Brock Purdy only had 4 interceptions, and Jimmy had 4 interceptions. And, I don't know. Jimmy played some of the best ball of his career this year.
Right.
But it really just comes down to, seeing the field, executing the offense. There's things that Brock does that are just fundamental parts of Kyle's offense that he does better than Jimmy. The play action game from under center is a big part of Kyle's offense. The bootleg game, big part of Kyle's offense. The timing throws. This offense demands, it's a run heavy scheme that demands that you make efficient throws within the offense. The ball's got to come out with accuracy on time. And Brock Purdy's better at that than Jimmy Garoppolo. I mean, there's just no
100%.
way around it. No doubt. Jimmy Garoppolo, to the point where Kyle won't even put him under center in play action, because when he turns his back on the defense and he turns back around, he needs a full second and a half to kind of reassess where everybody is. Brock makes the same play from under center, flips his back to the defense. When he turns around, he is ready to throw. He has an account of the defenders. He knows where his receivers are in their routes. And it looks more natural, So I'm not saying that Brock is a superstar. I'm just saying he's the best guy they got. And
Today.
Yeah, I think he's proven that he's the best quarterback they have, and maybe that will change. Maybe, here's the thing: he doesn't have a lot of fastball to lose. If he loses something off the fastball, and he could come back, and we're talking about 6 months, 9 months,
right?
It's really about, what does he look like when he comes back,
right?
I don't care if he comes back in 5 months. If he can't throw and he's lost a lot of velocity, then he probably is a career backup. I don't care if he comes back in a year and a half, but he comes back and his arm is stronger than ever and makes all the throws, then he's maybe the franchise quarterback. But the injury complicates things, and I think this season should serve as a reminder that you go through quarterbacks. Another need for this team is offensive line, and as you said, it's hard to find good offensive linemen. So, bolster your O-line and keep whatever quarterback you have upright, but get 3 quarterbacks that you think you can win games with. Not 2 quarterbacks and a 37-year-old on his 19th team
Right.
who's, everybody likes but nobody has faith in. Not some super raw rookie who's going to wet the bed as soon as you put him in there and he can't play.
Right.
Get somebody who you think can play and put him into the competition. And what's the worst thing that could happen? The worst thing that can happen in this situation is Brock looks great. He comes back and is just as good as he was last year. Trey gets way better and shows franchise quarterback upside. And this third quarterback comes in and shows that, you know what? If those guys can't do it, you might be able to win it all with this guy. And to me, that's the way to go. I mean, think about Howie Roseman, who just, built, I think, the best roster in the NFL this year with the Philadelphia Eagles. He had Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts, a young, durable, tough young quarterback. He got Gardner Minshew behind him. And Minshew didn't make a lot of money. I think he made like $600,000, but he had a proven backup. Why? Because, having a good back, and they needed to lean on him down the stretch.
Right.
So, I mean, that's the approach I would take is go get a quarterback you like. And I like Mariota. I mean, I'm thinking, why do I like Mariota so much?
I'm thinking that too, Larry. I'm thinking that too.
93% against the Niners. The day against the Niners in Atlanta this year in October, middle of October, 13 of 14, 129 yards, 2 touchdowns, a 144 quarterback rating. It was his best game of the year. He also ran 60 times for 50 yards, 8.3 a carry, including a touchdown, had a 20-yard run. He's 6'4", 220. He's 29. For the season, he threw 15 touchdowns and 9 picks. If for whatever reason, if they don't want him in Atlanta, I would gladly take him in a trade.